Good evening. It's Wednesday, May 1st, 2024 at 6 p.m. Calling the Lakeville Board of Health meeting to order. Is there anyone recording this meeting? I see no. No, we just have to acknowledge. LakeCAM is recording this meeting. First on the agenda, 1 Holly Hill Lane for a new stable permit. Meet with owner Don Bissonette. Don is present. I'll just say to Ed, anything?
So Jared did get back to me. He just got back to me. He did go out there. Everything looked okay. So no issues there. Yeah, it's 12 acres. There's really plenty of room. There's really no issues. He's not, the barn is within 100 feet of the property line. And then, the
Excuse me, ladies. You're getting picked up on the mics.
And the manure pile was moved away from the property line as well, so, there should be no issues.
Okay.
I'm fine.
Anything you'd like to speak to on this? Any abutters here? I see we have a full crowd. No abutters, no. Okay.
So everybody in
You are a
support?
butter? Do you have anything to say?
No concerns? Okay.
I'll make a motion, we approve the new stable permit at 1 Holly Hill Lane.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the agenda, 51 Shore Ave. Meet with the owners, Scott and Fay Joyce, regarding their existing well.
Up top of the mic, yeah.
Come up to the
Yeah,
mic,
those are
please.
microphones right there.
I guess.
Hi.
Maybe I could ask you guys to speak to it first, and then we'll discuss from there.
Sure. Hi, Scott, this is my wife Faye.
Yep.
We're basically looking to continue to use a well at a property that we just purchased last year. The well has a filtration system that's tested, well, since we purchased the house, it's been tested when we first bought it, and again this year by the water filtration system straight down the street. And we're happy to answer any questions.
Okay, I believe it's a point, I don't know if you're aware of, it's not a deep well, it's not an artesian, it's a point. Am I correct on that, or are you unaware?
Unaware.
Unaware.
I don't know, do you know?
I believe I've heard somebody say that the pump that was in there was potentially for a shallow well, but I don't know.
Right, is the pump actually in your basement that draws,
No,
or is it in the well?
It's a cottage that's on blocks, so the well's at the utility closet, and we have pictures, if you want to see
Okay.
them, of the filtration system as well as the, I don't know if it shows all the details, but it's a
Okay.
utility closet in the, inside of the house.
Okay, I'll just, I guess, turn it over to Ed for a second, just for the update on this property. I know it goes back and sold 3 times since the original tight tank was approved in 2015.
Yeah, so there is a well on the property that's pretty much
Documented.
established, but we didn't have any knowledge of that for a while there. It's never been permitted and it's never been tested. So it would be classified as a non-permitted well. It did show up on a plan in 2015 when they were putting in the tight tank. And then part of the approval, now I believe they're already hooked into the water system, which is a seasonal water system. And during that meeting, they said, you know, the water is seasonal and they plan to keep it that way. So it's going to stay a seasonal home. Now it did show a well on the plan. And then, you know, there was supposed to be a deed restriction that made the dwelling a 2-bedroom seasonal home. But when they did the deed restriction, they made it a 2-bedroom deed restriction and not a seasonal. And whereas most of our documentation says it was supposed to be a seasonal, and it was just overlooked. We do have a plan that says it, and there's a comment on the plan like abandoned well or irrigation well. But we're not really sure. The minutes were pretty minimal for that meeting as to what was discussed, but the engineer did say that it would remain a seasonal home. And so that was our understanding. And then it to sell it, you know, you have to pass a Title V, and one was done, and they told us it was a seasonal. So what they did is, when you say it's on the public water system, you don't have to do a water test. So that's why we're like, because normally every time you sell a home, you're required to do a water test. That's why we get an idea of like what kind of well it is it dangerous or not. But we don't have anything because they've always claimed it as a seasonal home. Now, I know I believe you were misled. You've had nothing to do with what happened in the past. There was two previous owners who did all this. But like I said, now you're claiming the house is a year-round home, whereas we've always determined it as a seasonal home, and that's what we're trying to figure out here.
It is a second home to us, but at the end of the day, we would like to be able to use it when we want to, mostly obviously in the summer. And we did have the water tested ourselves, and we have the results here if you'd like to see them.
From Analytic Balance.
We had them come out, take the sample themselves and bring it in.
Okay. I looked into the,
So in Ed's notes, you said that the previous homeowner, was there some misleading there?
Whether it was a realtor or the previous homeowner, I don't know, but I believe they all knew that it was a seasonal home, but
Did you see
the
who the
buyers did
previous
not.
owner was?
No, I did not.
It's Walsh. So, I mean, they know it's seasonal, whether it's seasonal or well.
Oh, no,
I don't know if
it's not that,
Okay.
it's not that Patricia Walsh.
All right. I was like, what's going on here? Like, I'm like,
Yeah, no, there's a lot of Walshes.
right. It just seemed like, I'm like, they know, you shouldn't be misleading anyone, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
so, like you said, it was permitted for a tight tank in 15 and was supposed to be seasonal.
Right.
Like you said, there's clear evidence of a well was on this property. And even to put a well, you can get 100 feet, without even getting a variance. And it's such a big lot that there's room to get 100 feet. Even though it's just a tight tank where you don't even need 100, all you need is 50. So there's not even because it's a tight tank, so there's no septic issue to it.
There's no other abutting septics?
Well, if we were to permit that well, we need to know where the proximity to the cesspool next door. Either the property next door to you has a cesspool,
You mean across the street?
both.
The
Just
prop,
anything about it.
oh, no, but I didn't realize.
There's a property across the street and there's a property,
It was supposed to be decommissioned too, correct?
next door. Both of those have cesspools.
Oh, okay.
There's nothing that says. it
There was
supposed to
nothing to say decommission?
We looked through the file, Larry had a note, this is the plan, I think I have it. Larry has notes written on it, whether it's staying portable, irrigation, or to be abandoned with question marks. But it was never brought up
It
anywhere.
was never permitted to begin with, right?
No, it's like most of them in Clark Shores, none of them are.
And when you tested it, was it prior to the flooding recently?
No, it was right after.
Right after?
And the results all came back good except for, the arsenic was 0.016. And we've already talked to the filtration, what's the company called? Water Filtration Services, and we're gonna get a,
Well, he first said that he's gonna adjust the pH a little bit, which might fix it, and then he also said if that doesn't help, they could put it into reverse osmosis.
and I
Yeah.
have at this point dropped off a second sample at Analytic Balance just so they could double check the arsenic level.
Okay. But yeah, in the folder, it was just stated by, I believe it was Zenith Jamie at the time, well, it wasn't Zenith at the time, it was Prime, when he was working for Prime, that it was staying seasonal. That's all it says. It doesn't mention the well. And I just don't know whether, it doesn't even mention if they were gonna leave it for irrigation anywhere. I can't find anything. I don't, the only problem I have with this well is, like you said, it's a shallow well, and this is in the flood zone. And Ed's been down there, and we have pictures of it, and this is almost underwater right now in this previous
Yeah,
rainstorm.
it's receded quite a bit. Like
Yeah,
last week it's dropped.
Pretty much
quite a
back.
bit.
But, so, a shallow well means you're clearly in the pond water. It's not deep. So whatever the pond water is what's in that well. And when it comes up that high, there's still cesspools around you. That water is probably contaminated. So it's not good to be drinking out of a shallow well, in my opinion, for
Especially-
year-round use.
Especially
Where-
in that area with the conditions that are
Where
going on.
you're in a flood, you basically, it floods right up, that whole thing could be underwater. So it should be a deep well,
Okay.
where it's sealed to bedrock and the groundwater, the pond water can't get into it. So that's my only concern is if to
My
allow it
understanding-
is,
Yeah, we can let them use the tight tank now for year round, so back then you couldn't.
right,
So now if they put a new well in, it'd be all set. I
Right.
think, right?
we have let other people this clearly was a well on a property, the only reason I'm saying a new well is just because it's a shallow well.
Mhm.
And it's literally, when it floods, it's in the pond.
Yeah.
And I don't know maybe if Ed has any comment on it at all.
So, have you thought about tying into the water year round?
We don't have
They
year
don't
round.
have it.
Wait, it's only, I didn't know which water line was there, whether it was the new seasonal or the old seasonal, or if there was an opportunity to upgrade to.
It's the old system.
It's the old system
I
still.
mean, it's the new water from the new wells, but I mean, they still have it, it's what?
But
18
it goes through the
inches
old
underground.
pipeline.
Sorry?
It's the new wells, but it's the old pipeline.
Correct, and I think they even just repaired some on Shore Ave because they had so many leaks on Shore Ave. So it's an old network as well.
So I don't know if you.
They're not really that close to, I didn't do a measurement, but it'd be a long way to hook into the year round. So it's not an option to put the year round down there right now.
And do you think this well, you think there's a cesspool within 100 feet of this well?
Yeah, I believe on,
'Cause that would be another
49.
reason why, if there's.
There's a cesspool on
Cesspool.
49 and you may be farther enough from the one on 44, Shore Ave, but on 49, you probably need to get that verified, like I said, because you're not supposed to be within 100 feet of anything. And the combination of a shallow well and a cesspool, which we know is in groundwater, because the thing with cesspools, it's one thing if you have like a raised septic system that's out of the groundwater, but most of those shallow wells are, I mean, it's 2 to 3 feet to groundwater right there, so.
And that whole street
Probably
was
not.
constructed in a wetland.
Back in
the 50s.
50,
Yeah, so the combination that the cesspool is in the groundwater and you're within 100 feet and it's a shallow well, I mean, those are three really concerning things.
But I mean, the lot's big enough, I'm fine, if they put a new well in and meet all the setbacks, I'm fine with letting them be year round.
Right.
But not with that one, especially if it's so close to the other one.
That's where I was.
I'd want to see a plan probably. Make sure that everything in the area is far enough away.
Well, yeah, to even permit a new well. Yeah, I don't see how I could, just from all the things on this well, is allow you to use that particular well. Just because I think it's gonna be, even with a, treatment system, could you treat that
If you're treating for,
D-night to where it's contaminated, or?
the problem with treatment systems, especially like a reverse osmosis, they're great, they do a good job of treatment, but they're expensive to maintain. It's actually a membrane, it's not like a traditional filter where you just pop in and
Yeah,
pop
well,
out.
the existing service we have in there too is already a very elaborate system. We have some pictures that they're maintaining for us. That, yeah, it does cost a little bit, but we're okay with
And
that.
your
just
tests
because they're
were,
maintaining
your card tests were after the system, correct?
After
They
the
weren't.
what?
They were after the system, right? Not before it.
Oh, yes.
What system?
It was still.
The filtration system.
Oh, yes.
From the faucet.
So
Yes.
I'd be curious what was in it before the system too. You know what I mean? When it's taken out. So you
Yeah.
know if the system doesn't stay up to date, what you're going to be putting into your body if it doesn't. Stay
Right,
up,
yeah.
Right?
And
It's gotta
the nitrates, all that negative, ND, so not determined,
Correct.
everything
Yeah, we
was.
definitely, as far as the costs and all that, even when we first purchased the house, before we purchased it, we went and talked to Tom, the water filtration service team there, and then talked to them about it because we didn't know what we were doing. And he came out and he told us about it, and then came out and looked at it, serviced it that year, serviced it again this year. So from him, he said that there was never been any issues. But then he did recommend getting, especially knowing that we were coming to talk to you, that's why he recommended we do go to the water inlets and the detail.
Surprisingly, not high nitrates. The well of 44, we do have records on that well, and that is high nitrates.
Yeah, I
happy
have,
to share.
I have copies,
Right, but it's after the treatment system.
Yes.
Oh, sure.
So, what do you think, there's any way leaving the well, with this treatment system I have, or?
I don't know, I mean, we don't even know how close it is to that cesspool.
That would have to be,
Yeah, I
Definitely.
wouldn't wanna vote on something until we saw like a plan that
I
showed
mean, is that
everything.
even an option to have them determine how far for that, or?
Yeah, to use the well, you'd have to grant a waiver, to use that well because it is within 100 feet of another, thing. That's like any well or any septic that's going within 100 feet of each other, we need a waiver from the board. And since that well was never permitted, that's why we don't have that waiver.
Right, I think if it's within 100, I'm leaning, that would be a given to me to say, you're gonna definitely need a new well.
And honestly, a deep well down there compared to the cost of a filtration system probably isn't that much more.
Well, the other thing is they have already paid and they already have one.
We already have a filtration system.
Okay.
But
So
not for a
that's-
reverse osmosis.
No,
Yeah.
Those are fairly inexpensive compared to the system we have now, is my understanding.
No, reverse osmosis is expensive. They're expensive to put in, they're expensive to maintain.
Oh,
Like I
yeah.
said, they're great systems.
We've never, yeah.
Yeah.
I
I was
guess,
Googling online, so I'm not an expert by any means.
and that was just because of the arsenic level. Because everything-
Reverse
everything else
osmosis
tested
treats a
fine.
lot of things, you know,
Right.
not everything, but a lot, yeah.
But everything else did test fine other than that
But
one thing.
your well test's supposed to be based on before it's filtered, not after it's filtered. And
I
we're
don't
all
know.
pretty sure
Then
that
I
you'd
guess
be,
I'm not understanding what that means.
right
like-
now, the test you said were after the filtration system, you took the test. But wells are supposed to be tested before they go into
Oh,
the
I-
filtration system, so we know
What-
what's
yes.
there.
Yeah, I get
And
that.
we're guessing that it would fail before
Nitrates.
what's in there.
Oh, okay.
We don't know that, but
Especially after the flooding recently
Yeah.
and yeah, just the high groundwater right now. Oh my God, yeah.
Right, and where you have cesspools literally in the groundwater abutting you,
Yeah.
you know it's in there, so it's all the same water, because it's not a deep well.
if the well was down 300 or 400 feet, that's where the water's coming from, because it's cased until it gets there. But here, a cesspool could be 2 feet in the ground, and if your well's only 3 or 4 feet in the ground, everything out of their cesspool just going at that same level of water, 2 or 3 feet in the ground, which means your well will suck it right up. And that's why we don't even allow shallow wells anymore. They're not even legal anymore. And we don't allow cesspools anymore because they contaminate too much, so. At the minimum, I'd wanna know.
Right, I think that's the minimum before.
But I'd check to see honestly what a well costs versus, cause it's not gonna be that deep. You'll probably only have to go down about 100 feet. I'm just guessing. You could check, he could check other ones in the area to tell you, but I probably don't think it's all that much more than by the time you buy that whole reverse osmosis system, but I don't know that for a fact, but
Well, the other thing too is if you were to put a drilled well in, you may still want the filtration system and softener and other things depending on what's naturally in the well too,
Yeah.
just for flavor and other things. So it may not be a waste of money to have already spent the money on the filtration system because a lot of people have those with deep wells in
see,
town too.
when they put the tight tank in, we could let you do that, but we couldn't let it be year round. Since then, DEP changed the regs, so now we can let you use a tight tank for year round. But you'd still, if you had a tight tank and you were coming back to us now, you'd have to, well, what we're doing now, we'd say you gotta prove you have potable water hooked in to the association water, which I know isn't that close to you, and then you'd be able to use it year round legally. And I don't know who did your title work, but you might wanna check with the lawyer, cause if they, that's a civil issue if they lied to you and said it was permitted and approved for year round, cause it wasn't. But that's a whole different issue for you and them to talk to.
So we weren't told it was permitted for, I don't know what that means.
Just the title was, it was permanent for year-round use versus.
Oh.
Yeah, it should have been
seasonal.
sold as
Okay.
seasonal.
Yeah,
Clearly should have been sold as seasonal, shouldn't have been
yeah. So, and
advertised
if they didn't,
otherwise.
and if they didn't tell you that, whoever did the title on it, and if you have title insurance, it'll probably pay for way more than what it would cost you to put in a new well. I'm just throwing that out of years of doing this. I don't know for a fact any of this
Yeah.
particulars, but,
Even the assessors shows it as a seasonal.
yeah.
Are you sure? because mine says it said year, looks like someone's living there year round, and then the,
You're correct, it does say that.
okay,
But that doesn't make it a year-round home.
home, yeah,
Just because it looks like someone's
So
living
the
there.
assessor says seasonal water,
Yeah.
which makes it seasonal.
There are people in that neighborhood that illegally live in those homes in the wintertime. They're not supposed to, but they do. So just because someone's doing it, that doesn't make it illegal.
Yeah. Kind of like just because the people that sold it to you lied doesn't make it so either. I mean, that's, unfortunately, this happens every now and then.
Right, and the realtor should have caught that on the assessors when they made the listing.
And the lawyer that
Should've seen
closed
that.
and did the title insurance should have pulled that and said it right on there too. But again, that's a whole different thing. I mean, to even discuss leaving this here, I would want to know where the cesspool is, and I'd want to see what the water looked like before the filtration system, not after it.
So it's the best option, some, and I'm, as a permanent well, it doesn't bother me, I'm
Right.
comfortable looking into that, if that's the right decision.
Yeah, I agree with Bob too. So I think we're on agreement, one way or another, we can give you year-round water. And I think we're on agreement on that. It's just whether you can use this well or you need to drill a deep one, which I highly recommend, and depends where a cesspool is. It's the way you should go, but if you want to look into, I mean, we're probably gonna have to get an engineer to do it. I mean, you're gonna
Yeah,
have to have
you
a,
need a surveyor locating
Surveyor
both the
and-
cesspool and where your current one is as well.
As
So you
far as
gotta-
looking into a permanent well, great, would I just call the well company and they come out and figure it out? Or-
No, they usually don't do that. So you would, part of a well application is to, you
Who's
submit a
the engineer on this?
well plan.
Jamie back in the day.
And that's
Oh.
showing,
Right.
what it does, it shows
It's
all
still-
the
I mean,
septic
I'd save
systems
some
in
money
the area.
going back that way.
And that way you can ensure that you're 100 feet away, and that's what they need. They need the assurance that it's over 100 feet away, because they're not allowed to approve one if it's less than 100.
But you're in a way better shape than most people, because this is a current engineered plan and stamp, so, I mean, you could probably go back to Prime, and just, all they'd have to do is go out and check the distances of the other. Do you get a copy of that plan?
Yes,
Because we can give you one if you
yes,
don't.
yeah.
And then they can confirm that, and if they find that it's way too close, they can, they already have all the engineering done, so they're just gonna send somebody out to find out where the cesspools are. And then, once they locate those, all they have to do is drop it on this plan, this is already in their computer. So it shouldn't be that expensive to have it done the right way.
And that's for the potential use of the existing well as is, as you referred to.
Well,
Either way.
I would either way,
Oh, either way.
when they go out there, because you don't want to pay them to go out there twice, I would have them go out and locate the other cesspools and the other wells in the area, see if any of them are within 100 feet. Wells don't really matter, but it's just, if they have them, they have them. And then, if they find out that it's not there, have them find a new location for the well that would be okay. And, you know, they might have to move it farther back, and they might have to check if there's something behind there. But you'd wanna have them just come out, take an hour or two and figure it out for you. And then once they say, maybe you can't get 100 feet with your new mill, maybe you can only get 75 or 80, we can still approve that for you. So all you need is somebody though to say, this is the best location that we can do on that, and then we can work with you on that. But right now, we don't know where nothing is, so we couldn't really make a decision right now anyway.
Okay.
You agree? And yeah. And you can look into, you know, if you want to get an estimate on a new well, if, you know, just so you have your options, compared to a treatment system, if you're already dealing with them. Because probably you're gonna have to add a little more of a treatment if you do want to go with this well. I'd want to make sure it's covered for anything in a flood that is
Oh, yeah.
contaminants in that pond.
Yeah.
When you're the year-round well.
Oh, yeah, in
and
the
it's
last flood,
covered.
gas cans were floating and spilling and boats, and
Yeah.
some of the tests on the well were horrible.
And the new wells there, you see them, they're several feet above ground, and they're all cased, so even if it does flood, they don't get.
Nothing can get in there on you.
And in that area, I'd recommend putting at least 2 feet above.
Flood stage.
Yeah, higher riser than most.
Yeah.
The flood stage, I believe, is 57 currently.
Well, tonight was just for discussion, so right?
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
no,
nothing to,
nothing to vote on.
Yeah, so,
It's
So-
in their, the ball's in their court. what
yeah,
they wanna
I don't
do.
wanna vote to deny you to use that and have you then have a timetable on when you can come back.
Okay.
So we'll just withdraw it, and you can do your research, and you can come back and talk to us, but Ed kinda knows what we're looking for now, so you can work with him, and when Ed says, they're gonna be okay with that, you can come back to us, and he'll know that we're good with it.
Okay.
He kinda knows what works and what doesn't work.
now, are you currently, I know you're still hooked into the seasonal, are you using seasonal during the seasonal, or that is totally off?
No, it's off.
You're on this well right now.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, there's a switch outside that I'm aware of, and that once it gets in the house, it's cut off. It's basically stubbed off, so it's just the well.
Okay, so you're not,
No.
okay.
But we don't drink the water anyways.
I wouldn't, I was just gonna say, I wouldn't.
Yeah,
I
I
wouldn't drink the
recommend.
water.
I don't
out of
even
that.
drink the water
Yeah.
at my house in
So-
Foxborough. We're bottled water.
This is,
people.
you
And
know,
just so you know too, if there's arsenic in there, and I don't know if you have little kids or grandkids or anything, but arsenic isn't just from drinking it. If little kids take baths in it, it goes through their skin, and they can get poisoned from the arsenic.
If it's over 500
There's no,
ppb, there's,
I had people from the state at a meeting here years ago, and we started making our regs, and they couldn't tell me if you had drink a gallon of water or 50 gallons of water a day to get poisoned from it. They really don't know, but I wouldn't want my kids in that.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
yeah, no, yeah, definitely.
I would absolutely have the other water system hooked up if I was drinking it or bathing in it. That's just me personally.
so you'll look into it and we'll
Bring
put
it
you
back.
back on the
Yeah.
agenda.
Hey, talk to Ed and he'll get you back on.
Okay,
and we
thank
can
you.
approve.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right,
you.
thank you.
All right.
Next on the agenda, 306 Bedford Street. Meet with Prime Engineering to discuss local upgrade request.
Oh, that's them right there. Is Prime here?
Uh, Prime is not, I
Oh.
don't believe they're coming.
Oh, I was just gonna hook them up with them while we're here.
Yeah. No. He said he was not coming to the meeting.
Okay.
He let Ed know, and so Ed was gonna just kinda see where we're at on this one. Cause they were unable to make it tonight, but wanted us to
Yeah,
discuss it
they had a conflict at the last minute and notified
and
me.
make a vote on it. If we could, so they didn't have to continue.
So it's your property?
Yeah,
You could step up then to speak to it if we'd
because
like
I'm
to.
kind of in a deadline here. Trying to
See it
sell it.
sold, yeah?
Well, and then
Under
we had to
agreement?
back it off because it needed more revisions last time, or
On it?
something.
Yeah, so the main thing was that we had to wait for a meeting because, it's within 200 feet of a river that's a tributary to the reservoir. So that requires a meeting, and that's why we
Yep.
weren't able to approve it earlier. So the field is outside of the zone A, but they were unable to get the tanks, outside the zone A, and that's what they're asking for. There are two waivers, both for the septic tank and pump chamber, that are, both within the 200, but, outside of 100, I believe.
And this is a repair.
It is repair. So I looked at this one, I just got a couple changes on it.
Monolithic tank's one of them.
Monolithic H20, because they are in the water table and they're also within 12 inches of high groundwater, which we have to add a variance for both tanks.
Where's the high ground water? I'm just
Okay.
curious, where's the high ground water?
It's about, what's about 4 feet down, where we dug, the water was pouring in.
Oh,
And-
when you went to the right of the house?
No, we're
Oh, in the
behind
backyard, you mean?
We're behind the house, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's 4 feet below grade, but when you put the tank in, the pipe that goes in the tank, usually that's about 3 feet below grade, because you have a lot of times you have to put it based on where the pipe coming out of your foundation is.
Yep.
So they have to sink the tank low, and what it is if you get within a foot of where the pipe is and the groundwater, and I think it was about 9 or 10 inches, then you need a different waiver.
Oh, okay. I'm curious.
So we just have to add a variance for
Okay.
that, because that is a state variance.
Monolithic.
And then, see, yes, definitely monolithic at H20.
Yeah, with that, I was fine.
Yeah, it was the local upgrade approval. Do you know whoever makes the motion, you know which one to add?
It's supposed to make this one. First, we gotta ask the audience, hey, are you guys here for this?
Yeah.
Okay.
The tanks and the buoys.
You here for this?
I'm purchasing.
You who?
I'm purchasing those.
Oh.
Oh,
Buys.
yeah.
Cool.
Cool, whatever, I know.
We're an interested party.
Okay.
That's why I came, cause I'm like, they
Well, no, that's
wanna
why-
get in
well,
there.
that's why we asked who's, if there's somebody's here to speak on it.
Yeah, because you have
So-
the right to speak on it.
They're the
So it's if the septic's fine, we're just gonna make it better for you, how's that?
Sounds good.
Alright.
I'm like, these.
Just a little bit, they're not big changes, but just enough so it'll be safer for you down the road.
Perfect.
Any abutters were notified? Any?
Yeah, no butters.
No abutters on this one? Just because it was.
Oh, no, sorry, yeah, they were,
Was it Taunton and?
yeah, Taunton, New Bedford,
Taunton, New
but
Bedford.
no, none of the actual.
Yeah, they
butters.
never answer.
Okay, and even with adding this other variance, you don't have to, there's no abutters to,
Yeah, that variance is no butters.
no abutters. Okay. So, that's all I had. And then you'd have to just submit a new plan, just showing probably the
Correct.
H20 tanks, because monolithic, because they don't show it on that plan. So you
You
just change
said
it.
that
And, put
the
the
inlet
boots on,
outlets were below the water table,
Yeah,
rubber
they
boots
call,
on the inlet, inlet's coming.
they're within,
they're within 12 inches
So-
of high groundwater.
so the rubber gaskets.
Yeah, well, I grabbed this plan, because this is actually, number 3 is the actual local upgrade approval. So they just need to add
That's
that one.
specific.
No, you could,
Alright.
they know what we need, so.
We freestyle it.
Just
Yeah.
say with those, approve with those, with the exception of, and then add a couple of things.
Yeah, H20 monolithic.
I'm
Alright,
gonna
so
have
you
to
guys are
get
all good?
glasses. Yeah, we're good.
Well, good.
Room's good. Head's good.
Yes.
Alright. I make a motion that we approve the septic repair at 306 Bedford Street, Lakeville, with the, was it upgrade request for the tank to a tributary to a drinking water supply and the pump chamber offsets to a drinking water supply. The tanks need to be H20 monolithic. And then there's also the additional variants that need to be added for the inlets and outlets within 12 inches of groundwater to be gasketed. I
I
think
think
that
that's
is all.
everything. I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 So it's good?
You all set?
Approved,
go.
and we'll just let the engineer know, they just need to submit a new plan, I'm sure they'll call in the morning. They won't hold anything up,
Okay, good.
just to give the installer,
Yeah, make
They'll
sure,
need the new
make sure they
plan.
tell the installer too.
Oh,
Cause the
yeah.
installer got an old copy of the plan that he priced it off, he's gotta change a couple of things now.
Right,
So you don't wanna
Okay.
put the wrong one in and then charge you double.
true. Okay,
Alright?
yep.
all right,
Alright, you
you.
guys are
Thank you.
good.
thank you. Okay, next on the agenda. Baldy's Lakeville LLC doing business as Baldy's Pizzeria. New owners at the establishment. We need to approve a food establishment permit and a milk and cream permit. I see everybody left, so there's nobody here to talk to this one. I'll
good,
just
Ed?
turn it over to Ed.
Yeah, everything's staying the same, staff's the same, same building, nothing really changed, so, it's just.
Mike left though, right?
And what is the new doing, so they're just doing business as the same?
No, they changed it to, Baldy's Pizzeria instead of Baldy's Lakeville LLC.
Okay.
So
And
they're
obviously-
keeping the Baldy's name and
Okay, so
everything, it's
it's
just Baldy's
now gonna be
Pizzeria.
Baldy's Pizzeria
Correct.
Yeah.
instead of Baldy's of
And
Lakeville.
since the emails, the hideaway, I'm assuming it's the same people doing the hideaway. So, yeah, I'm fine with it. Baldy's has never had any problems.
Yeah, we're current with the inspections on Baldy's, like, we're up to date, there's nothing that we need to do before it switches over.
Yeah, we did one within the last month, so.
Okay, so it's current. They had no issues?
Nope.
I'm good with it.
I'm good.
Alright, so I'll make a motion that we approve the transfer of the food establishment permit and the milk and cream permit from Baldy's Lakeville LLC to, oh no,
No, that's a new one, Baldy's Lakeville.
to
LLC.
Baldy's Lakeville LLC, doing business as Baldy's Pizzeria.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, next on the agenda, review and approve meeting minutes from January 17th, 2024. We'll do this one first. I believe,
Just me and
Paul
you.
Calucci was not present. Just Chris and myself were. These are our meeting notes. Is that the right one? I don't see any problems with it. Do you, Chris?
No, I'm good. I'll make a motion, we approve the Town of Lakeville Board of Health meeting minutes for January 17th, 2024 as typed.
Second? Any discussion?
Nope.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain because I wasn't there.
Okay, next on the agenda, review and approve meeting minutes from February 7th, 2024. I've read through them. I have no issues with them.
I'm good.
I'm good. I'll make a motion, we approve the February 7th, 2024 Board of Health meeting minutes as typed.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Next on the agenda, discuss the recent Board of Health agent pending items. Ed?
The main pending item is, just a notice about mosquitoes. Everyone knows it's been a very wet spring. We're expecting a pretty strong mosquito season this year. There's a number of, measures you can take to, reduce that, both by getting rid of standing water. Also, Plymouth County Mosquito Control will do sprayings, as requested several times per year for free of charge. So, go to the Lakeville website for that. They're not doing them right now, but probably in about 3 or 4 weeks, they'll start doing them. But they're both good options to really reduce the number. And it's important to get the mosquitoes now, because for every mosquito you kill now, you prevent hundreds later in the season. So now is a real time to.
And that information's on our website, right?
Correct.
Plymouth County mosquitoes?
Yeah.
Okay. That it?
Yep.
That's good. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.